Devotees come in many colors and many hues. Some devotees lament about their object of devotion is not there with them physically. Some devotees are expressing that because his presence is so strong, he not being physically there is not a matter of concern to them. So here is a devotee who is very happy with his presence, not concerned about his physical availability to himself or herself. Referring to a particular deity, the devotee is saying, you have put yourself even into stone, so why should I miss you? You put yourself into everything, and now you have even descended into your stone idol and made it a living thing for me. So why should I bother about you not being here? In that context, here's a song that they present in this direction.
குறையொன்றுமில்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா, குறையொன்றுமில்லை கண்ணா, குறையொன்றுமில்லை கோவிந்தா. கலிநாளுக்கிறங்கி கலிலே இறங்கி நிலையாக கோயிலில் நிற்கின்றாய் கேசவா. கலிநாளுக்கிறங்கி கலிலே இறங்கி நிலையாக கோயிலில் நிற்கின்றாய் கேசவா. கலிநாளுக்கிறங்கி கலிலே இறங்கி நிலையாக கோயிலில் நிற்கின்றாய் கேசவா. குறையொன்றும் இல்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா, யாதும் மறுக்காத மலையப்பா, யாதும் மறுக்காத மலையப்பா. உன் மார்பில் யாரும் கரத்திற்கும் கருணை கடலல்லை, என்றும் இறந்திட ஏது துணை எனக்கு, என்றும் இருந்திட ஏது குறை எனக்கு. ஒன்றும் குறையில்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா, ஒன்றும் குறையில்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா, எல்லோரும் குறையில்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா. மணிவண்ணா மலையப்பா கோவிந்தா 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 கோவிந்தா.
When Krishna went and stood on the Mount Govardhana, just after being reminded by his guru Gargacharya, and after having gone through a certain experience of realization and reminder of who he is and his mission, still because of his love for the Gokula, the Go and the Gopis and the Gopas, somewhere his mind still was struggling. All this faraway mission for this mission should I really forsake what I know and what I love right now? So somewhere within himself, he was still looking for a confirmation kind of sign. He wanted a sign to indicate to him, to confirm to him that what he has realized and what he has known, what he's been reminded of, is worth forsaking all that he loves. So after this revolutionary act of dropping Indrotsav and starting a new celebratory process of Gopotsav, they were all celebrating at the foothills of Govardhan mountain. And then there was a furious storm. The moment the storm came and it picked up great amount of violence and torrents of rain, and it started flooding, the river overflowed, and the simple people of the Gokula started thinking, because we did not celebrate Indrotsav, Indra, the god of rain, is angry with us, he is going to drown us with these torrents of rain. Definitely there was a dangerous situation of water rising from Yamuna and flooding the whole place. So Indra, Balarama and a few other friends of his, they started looking for some place where they could take all the people and protect them. So Krishna, during his jaunts into the mountain, he knew the place well, the terrain well, so he had noticed some openings in the mountain. So he took the youth of Gokula there and they started moving some boulders to make more space, and then they discovered there was a huge cavern inside. So with great difficulty, especially using the might of Balarama, they started moving the boulders one by one, and they opened up the cavern, and all the gopis, when they saw so much brisk activity by the youth, they all came to see what's happening, and then they found the cavern. It was like a miraculous escape for them. Everybody, including the animals, went into this big cavern, but still it was not sufficient. And this was in Krishna's mind, that he needed a more stronger sign to neatly drop everything that was dear to him in his mind. It was still clinging to him. He loved the people around him. He had a certain attraction towards them, so he needed a much stronger sign. At that moment, he says, he himself could not initially grasp the immensity of what was happening. The whole mountain rose about 6 feet above the ground, making this cavern totally big, so that the whole population of Gokula, including the animals, could enter there, and they stayed there for a few days comfortably. Only after the floods went down, they came out. So this was like, for all the people, 100% confirmation that he is God himself. And for him also, after this event, there was no looking back. He was crystal clear about what he needs to do with his life. That is what gave him such strength that though he immensely loved the people, and especially Radhe, with whom he was involved to a point where he wants to marry her, without turning back and looking, he just walked away and carried on the purpose of his life. Here, this is a most celebrated event in Krishna's life, it's called Govardhana Giridhari. It's because of this event that he came to be called as Govinda, because he made Mount Govardhan race. There's a dance piece which celebrates this great event in Krishna's life, one of the first major miraculous events in his life. So, Amala has already shot off a question, so… The question is, Sadhguru Gandhari knew right from the beginning… Gandhari knew right from wrong. Why did she choose to close her eyes to all the evil deeds happening in Hastinapur? She should have influenced Dhritarashtra to some extent. Today many women allow their menfolk to conduct themselves wrongly. Granted that they do not have much say in the household, but even if they can make 5% difference, should they not strive for that, even at the cost of disturbing the peace within the family? When Gandhari married Dhritarashtra, Dhritarashtra being a born blind person, she took a vow that because her husband is blind, she did not want to enjoy the vision that he does not have. So, she masked her eyes for the rest of her life. Only once, when Krishna showed his universal form in the Hastinapur court, at that time she broke the vow and she unstrapped and she saw. That is the only time she broke it. Otherwise, she kept her eyes tied because she did not want to enjoy the vision that her husband did not have. So, not just blind visually, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari became blind to many other things. Dhritarashtra especially became blind to many other things. And because the code in these royal families is such, or in the whole kingly situation is such, once the king utters something, when he is discussing things, you can say something. Once he decides something, nobody has any right to say anything, even if he is walking into a pit, because the final word is his. Once he has said it, many of you are like that, isn't it? Once you have said something, nobody else is supposed to say anything. So, Gandhari showed some sense of sense in many times, but only in small measure. When the real issues came up, she did not do much. One thing is, we have to acknowledge, she could not do much because the people who were working on Dhritarashtra, whatever deceptions they were working upon him, they were quite efficient with the job. You can't find a better man than Shakuni to create such intrigue and such cunning and deception. So, whatever he did, he did very efficiently. And Duryodhana always threatened, whenever Gandhari or Dhritarashtra tried to put their foot down about something, Duryodhana said, now I am going to commit suicide. There are many people like this who continuously commit suicide throughout their life, but they never get there. They're not efficient with that. Just yesterday I was reading in the newspapers. The wife of an important police officer in Tamil Nadu was sentenced for 7 years rigorous imprisonment because she attempted suicide 3 years ago and failed. If she had died, there would be no sentence for her. When I was personally doing a class in Coimbatore Central Prison, there was one guy who was serving 7 years. You better know it, all of you, those of you who threaten suicide. When you don't have your way in your family, there are many people who use this trick, I'm going to commit suicide. For attempted suicide, you can get 7 years of rigorous imprisonment in India. All of you better If you commit a murder, you will get 14 years. If you attempt a suicide, you get 7 years. So this guy was there for 7 years and all the other criminals, for all of them, this guy was a big joke. He didn't rob anybody, he didn't kill anybody. He tried to kill himself and didn't do it well. So 7 years he's in the prison. So Duryodhana was one of those who constantly committing suicide throughout his life. Whenever he doesn't have his way, he will threaten his father, I'm going to commit suicide. Immediately Dhritarashtra will break down. His eldest son means everything to him. If he commits suicide, how can I live? He's never seen him with his eyes, but every time he comes, he brails him. Every time Duryodhana came to him, Dhritarashtra brailed him all over because it was so dear to him. And he says, I'm going to commit suicide. Immediately, it doesn't matter how stupid the thing is, how evil it is, Dhritarashtra gave in to that. Sometimes Gandhari tried to interfere, but once Dhritarashtra has made up his mind or has been compelled to do something, he won't step back, and she really didn't have much say. And as you said, the last sentence, should they not strive for it even at the cost of disturbing the peace within the family? This is something most people are unwilling to do. They have to face a certain amount of unpleasantness if they have to stand up for a certain cause or a truth or something. People are not willing to go through that little bit of unpleasantness, but they're willing to live a lie for the rest of their life. This is the unfortunate reality with lots of people, especially with women, with men also, but more so I think with women. They're not willing to go through that little unpleasantness in the relationships and families, to stand up for something and say, this is what should happen, even if they know 100% that this is the right thing. Yes, definitely, man or woman, it doesn't matter. This is not a gender issue at all. As a human being, if you believe something is truly valuable, at the cost of any discomfort, you must stand for it, otherwise your life will be worthless. It'll not be worth anything. Simply somehow maintaining some pleasantness around you, it won't work. The same unpleasantness will drown you and that same pleasantness will drown you one day. It's all right to go through a bit of unpleasantness in the atmosphere, to stand up and create what you feel is really worthwhile, isn't it? And when people have established themselves in certain limitations, in certain lies, in certain conveniences, if you do not strive to break their limitations, even at the cost of being unpopular with them, it simply means you don't care a damn for them. If you really care for somebody, you won't let them live in limitations, isn't it so? Yes? Even if it is going to make you a little unpopular, you must still see how to break those limitations. If you allow a person to live within their limitations, it simply means you don't care, you're only concerned about your comfort. You're not willing to go through that little unpleasantness that you have to go through. Little or too much, we don't know what will happen. Depends on your tact and your ability to handle, and that person, how obstinate he is. So many factors. Yes, for every little thing you can't stand up, fight and break situations, but definitely in everybody's life there is enough scope to establish some sense of righteousness in the situations in which they live. Definitely everybody has scope. Our ability to create situations may be different from person to person. One person may have much capability to turn around the whole thing, another person may not have that kind of capability, but everybody definitely has some ability to create the situations in a proper way and not letting situations to stagnate in certain limitations, not letting situations to go in unrighteous and evil ways. Evil does not mean that you have to grow extra teeth and you have to, fly on a broomstick and do something. Evil is just this, that you allow little corruption to go on within the family, within the relationships, within the social situations in which you live. That is the evil, which snowballs into something very big one day. So evil, don't think… This is the reason why I'm trying to bring Mahabharata down to your life. People have always imagined Duryodhana means some horrible demon, Krishna means God from the heaven. That's not how it is. Both are human beings. One uses his sense and humanity, another doesn't use it. That makes a world of difference. That makes one divine, another a demon. And right here, within ourselves, this is happening, isn't it so? So it is not that one fell from heaven, another just jumped up from hell or something like this. It is just every human being, every moment has this opportunity that he can either exercise his humanity or he can leave it and just fall into the trap of situations which exist around us, every moment. So you don't have to become an activist and fight with everybody around you. It can be done sensibly, See, setting situations right need not always necessarily mean standing up and fighting with somebody. One can use his intelligence and see what can be done to evolve situations into a better state. Whether it happens or not is not the issue. You're striving for it, that makes your life beautiful. You're constantly striving for it. That makes your life very beautiful. Whether it is going to happen, not going to happen, is subject to many things. So repeatedly he is saying, you do your dharma, the end result is not your business. Because the end result is never 100% in your hands, no matter who you are. No matter who you are, how powerful you are, the end result is never 100% in your hands, in nobody's hands. We make all kinds of calculations to see the end result happens well, but still there is no guarantee. When it comes to internal work, I can guarantee it. 100% I can guarantee it. When it comes to inner work, when it comes to outside world situations, there is no guarantee. For nobody there was ever guarantee. Even Shiva strived and struggled with the world. Krishna, you see, he's striving and struggling at every point. So, when he talks about not being attached to the fruit of action, he's not teaching you philosophy, he's talking about a reality. See, this has been repeatedly raised because this is one of the most quoted verses in Bhagavad Gita. When he says you should not be attached to the fruit of action, he is not trying to teach you philosophy, he is just revealing the nature of the reality. If you're attached to the fruit of action, you're bound to be frustrated. You're bound to become mentally deranged at some point, because that is the reality of the existence. no matter what you do, external situations are never 100% in our control, never so. If anybody thinks so, he's in a fool's paradise. It will crash. Because he doesn't understand all the forces that are functioning right now. One who sees the million different forces that are right now functioning on this situation will never ever think that everything is in his hands, never. Only a fool who does not realize how many things are making this situation happen right now, that fool thinks everything is in his hands. Just because I have a microphone in my hands right now, it does not mean I have this whole situation in my hands, no. There are a million other forces. All of them are not in our hands. We try to master as much as we can. We try to control and direct and make things happen to the extent that we can. What extent each human being can take is different from person to person in terms of ability and skill. But still, it doesn't matter how skilled you are, how able you are, never, never for anybody has external situations been 100% in their hands. It never will be. And that's what is beautiful about life. Even Krishna has to strive. That is what is very beautiful about life. Even to do you know what's basaru? You won't know. Your life is so poor, you don't know what's basaru. The people from Karnataka, basaru, huh? You know, ma? How did you know? Huh? Mysore, all right, but… okay. It's a common curry in Karnataka, it's uniquely in Karnataka only, it's prepared in a very different way than anything other than what you prepare. So people who have eaten these things, they don't want to eat anything else because they get addicted to these tastes. It involves a certain amount of ingredients and so many things. There are, in our homes, where I grew up, in our communities, the women in the family are totally dedicated to cooking. From the age of 7, 8, they are being intricately taught how this masala should be, how this should be fried, how that should be cooked. It is like 12, 15 years of training, before they really start cooking. How they should select the vegetable, how they should do that. And the young boys are trained how to choose the vegetables in the market. We were all put to training, how to choose the vegetables, how you should buy. For this particular dish means what kind of vegetable you should buy, how it should be. Lot of training has gone into this whole cooking business. So, people in their speech, they use this. When people are disappointed that something did not happen, oh, I was capable, this didn't happen. There is a saying like this where they say, can you get the basaru twice the same way? You cannot get it. It doesn't matter how good you are. Because if you cook it 100 times, 100 times it turns out slightly different. You're trying to get it there, but always it is slightly different. Every time it is made, people who know the taste of it, they will comment, okay, this thing has gone little more, little less. It's a huge involvement. So, something as simple as that, just a curry, which involves about 25, 30 different ingredients, you can't get it right 100%. That's the nature of the existence. So when you're talking about larger situations in the world, there is no such thing as getting all of it, no. When it comes to inner realities, yes, 100% we can be successful. When it comes to external realities, there is no such thing as 100%. You just strive, that's all. So, whether situations become this way or that way, oh, I did it, it is no use, it doesn't work. So what if it doesn't work? Your life is not beautiful because something happens or doesn't happen. Your life is beautiful because you're striving for what you believe is right and just. That's why it's beautiful, not because it happened. So definitely, man or woman, they must strive for this in their life, otherwise what is it worth? In what way is your life worth anything?
Guru, you've been talking about three aspects. One is Krishna's playfulness, second is embracing life and being inclusive, and the third is the love and devotion. Now, three questions are arising out of this, that how does one be playful without losing the intensity, that the practices have ignited? Second is inclusive. I'm not too sure what that means, because increasingly, like, one just tends to do, the minimum for friends and family, and you just want to be left alone. So I'm not sure, what is meant by including everybody. And third, love and devotion. I think the mind's constant overactiveness or judgment, hampers the love and devotion that you've been talking about. So how can these three be applied today?
They cannot be applied. They can be attained, but never applied. They are not some kind of policies or tricks that you apply in your life. You have to become that. You have to become inclusion. You have to become love and devotion. It's not something that you act out. It is not something that you do. It is not a thing that you can make use of in your life. It is a thing that you surrender to. It is a thing that you allow it to burn you up. Love and devotion is not something that you apply. It's something that you allow it to burn you. You are no more important. So application doesn't arise at all. So any of these things that you mentioned, application does not arise. That is why we gave you practices, because you're still in the application level, you want to use something. I have again and again seen, especially when I go west, United States, people are always, okay, this has happened, all that is okay, but what is the takeaway? I wish we could abolish the practices in the program. They're very beautiful, they definitely are sustaining forces for a human being. But people are evaluating the program and being there with me as, okay, ultimately what's the takeaway? Okay, this practice, this practice, this practice I got. Oh, okay, $200 that I paid is worthwhile. This is a stupid way. With this, they will not get anywhere. This one will not get anywhere. Maybe they'll get some health. Maybe they'll get some health because they're brewing in the morning, They will not know anything else in their life. They will not know at all. But unfortunately, people have… a whole culture has worked themselves into this position mentally. Wherever they go, what is the takeaway? So, right now, as 5 days are passed in Leela, now you're thinking, what is the takeaway? All this is fine, what can I take home and apply? There's nothing to apply. There's really nothing to apply. Okay, if you want to practice, we will teach you how to walk joyously. Okay, and that's going to kill you in Bombay city. You go like this, you dress up like this every day with gagras and jewelry and try to walk joyously, you will die of frustration. So, don't worry about the takeaway, there is no takeaway. Don't try to be devout, don't try to be loving. Don't try to be any of those three things that you said. because those are not things that you do, those are things that you have to become. They are far bigger than you. You cannot do them. You cannot do love. It's much, much, much bigger than you. You can become a part of it. Method. You want a method? She's asking how. This is how. Just this is how. Just like this. There's no other how. If anybody ever teaches you a method, you must know they're fake. There is no method to fall in love. When you don't make yourself any more too important, love will happen. If you are too important, love will never happen. If you're so full of yourself, there is no possibility of love in your life. You may know relationships, you may know give and take, but you will not know how to burn. If you don't know how to burn, you will have no light of your own, that's all.